My name is Lily, and I speak to flowers. Not in a crazy, fairy tale kind of way, but in the quiet language of soil, sun, and silence. I grew up on a sunflower farm in rural Tennessee, a place where the biggest noise is usually the buzzing of bees or the distant rumble of a tractor. My family has been growing flowers, mostly sunflowers, for 4 generations. My mama taught me how to coax a wilting petal back to life, and my grandpa taught me the secrets of hybridization, how to mix and match different varieties to create something entirely new, something breathtaking. I've got a knack for it, a real green thumb, and an artist's eye. I can combine colors and textures, twist a stem just so, and turn a bunch of ordinary blooms into a symphony. My arrangements? They're little pieces of my soul, poured out in petals and leaves. The problem? I can't sell them. You see, I'm shy. The kind of shy that makes my cheeks burn just thinking about talking to a customer. The kind of shy that makes my voice disappear into a whisper when someone asks me a simple question. The kind of shy that keeps me hidden behind the tallest sunflowers, hoping no one notices me. In our small town, everyone knows everyone, and everyone knows Quiet Lily from the flower farm. They're sweet about it, mostly. They just don't buy my flowers. Our farm, Sunflower Serenity, isn't exactly thriving. We've been hit hard by changing markets, unexpected droughts, and frankly, my complete inability to do any kind of marketing or sales. My mama, bless her heart, tries her best, but she's more of a grower than a seller. She just wants to get her hands dirty and watch things grow. My grandpa, well, he's mostly retired to his rocking chair, dreaming of the perfect blue sunflower he never quite created. So, the burden falls to me, the one with the talent for arrangement, but absolutely no talent for human interaction. I spend my days in our small, rustic workshop, surrounded by buckets of water and the sweet, earthy scent of blossoms. I'll spend hours crafting a single arrangement, sometimes a wild, vibrant explosion of color, other times a delicate, minimalist dance of whites and greens. Each one is perfect. Each one tells a story. But then they just sit there, waiting. Sometimes Mama manages to sell a few at the roadside stand, but most of them wilt before anyone even sees them. It's heartbreaking. It feels like my art, my passion, is just fading away unseen. The financial situation was getting dire. We were behind on the mortgage. The tractor needed a major repair that we couldn't afford. My mama had that worried look in her eyes that made my stomach clench. One evening, after a particularly silent and depressing dinner of beans and cornbread, Mama cleared her throat. "Lilybug," she began, using her old nickname for me, "we need to talk. The bank, they're getting impatient. If we don't come up with a significant payment by the end of the month, we might lose the farm." My fork clattered onto my plate. Lose the farm? This farm was more than just land. It was our history, our legacy. It was the only place I'd ever felt truly at home, truly safe. The thought of it being gone, replaced by a housing development or, worse, a big corporate farm, made my chest tighten. But what can we do? I whispered, my voice barely there. I make the arrangements. They're good, Mama. People just don't see them. Mama sighed, running a hand through her graying hair. I know, sweetheart. Your flowers are the prettiest in all of Tennessee. But pretty doesn't pay the bills. We need something big, Lily. Something to put Sunflower Serenity on the map. She pulled out an old, dog-eared magazine from under a stack of seed catalogs. It was a National Floristry magazine, and on the back page was an advertisement. The Golden Bloom Challenge. It's a national flower design competition, Mama explained, her voice tinged with a desperate hope. First prize is $50,000. And a feature in this magazine. $50,000, Lily. That would save us. That would fix the tractor. That would keep our sunflowers growing for another 50 years. My eyes scanned the ad. Open to amateur and professional designers. Must submit a portfolio and be willing to participate in televised rounds of competition in Los Angeles. Televised rounds. The words hung in the air like a death sentence. Los Angeles. Cameras. Judges. Strangers. Public speaking. My worst nightmares all rolled into one sparkly, floral package. My mind immediately went to all the reasons I couldn't do it. My hands would shake. My voice would disappear. I'd freeze up under the pressure. I'd make a fool of myself, and I'd lose the farm anyway. I can't, Mama, I said, shaking my head vehemently. I can't. I'm too shy. I'd embarrass us. I'd crumble. Mama looked at me, her eyes filled with a mixture of love and frustration. Lily, your flowers are your voice. And right now, that voice needs to be heard. This isn't about being comfortable, sweetheart. This is about saving our home. This is about everything we are. She picked up one of my latest arrangements, a stunning cascade of deep red roses and vibrant yellow sunflowers, intertwined with delicate green ferns. It was truly beautiful. This is not the work of someone who should hide. This is art. And art deserves to be seen. You owe it to yourself and you owe it to this farm to at least try. I looked at the arrangement, then at the magazine ad, and then out the window at the endless fields of sunflowers swaying gently in the evening breeze. Losing the farm was a fate worse than any public speaking disaster. Maybe, just maybe, my love for these flowers, my passion for this land, could be stronger than my fear. It felt like I was standing on the edge of a cliff, about to take a leap into the terrifying unknown. But for the first time, the thought of protecting something I loved felt bigger than the fear of being seen. The decision to apply for the Golden Bloom Challenge felt less like a choice and more like a dive into an icy lake. My hands trembled as I carefully photographed my best arrangements, trying to capture their magic through the lens. Each click of the camera shutter felt like a tiny act of rebellion against my own nature. I spent days meticulously crafting my portfolio, pouring all my artistic skill into presenting my work, hoping it would speak for itself, because I knew I certainly couldn't. The application required a short video introduction. That's where I hit a wall. I set up my phone on a tripod in the workshop, surrounded by my silent, colorful friends, the flowers. I pressed record. Hi, I stammered, my voice barely a whisper. My name is Lily, and I grow flowers. I immediately looked down at my hands, my face flushing scarlet. I tried again. And again. Each attempt was worse than the last. I sounded like a terrified mouse, not a confident floral artist. After 2 hours and 20 failed attempts, I collapsed onto a stool, utterly defeated. How could I compete on national television if I couldn't even record a 2-minute introduction? Mama, seeing my despair, sat down next to me. Lily, honey, it's okay. Just talk about the flowers. Talk about what they mean to you. Pretend you're just talking to me or to Grandpa. I took a deep breath. I picked up a sunflower, its face a beacon of cheerful yellow. This is a Sunflower Serenity original, I began, my voice still soft, but gaining a little strength as I focused on the bloom. We call this one Sunrise Ember. It's a hybrid, born from a dream Grandpa had of capturing the dawn sky in a petal. It's resilient, just like our farm. It faces the sun always. As I spoke about the flower, my passion started to emerge. My shyness faded, just a little, replaced by the genuine love I had for my work. That video, imperfect and a little shaky, was the one we sent. Against all odds, a few weeks later, an email arrived. Congratulations, Lily Miller. You have been selected as a finalist for the Golden Bloom Challenge. I screamed. Mama screamed. Grandpa, startled from his nap, nearly fell out of his rocking chair. The excitement was quickly followed by a tidal wave of panic. I was going to Los Angeles. I was going to be on TV. I was going to have to talk to people. A lot of people. Mama, ever the pragmatist, immediately started planning. We need new clothes. And a flight. And what about a media coach? Someone to help you with, you know. She gestured vaguely at my entire nervous persona. A media coach. The idea filled me with dread. It was like hiring someone to teach a fish how to fly. But Mama was right. I couldn't do this alone. I needed help. We found Brenda, a retired local news anchor who now gave confidence coaching to small business owners. Brenda was a force of nature. She wore bright lipstick, laughed loudly, and had a voice that could cut through concrete. Our first session was in her living room, which was filled with framed photos of her interviewing various politicians and celebrities. "All right, Lilybug," Brenda boomed, her voice making me flinch. "I've seen your video. Your flowers are magnificent. Your delivery? A quiet mouse on a windy day." My cheeks burned. "I know," I mumbled. "No, I know," Brenda interrupted. "We're going to fix this. First rule, projection. You need to make your voice travel. Imagine you're talking to the furthest sunflower in the field. That's your audience." She made me stand in the middle of her living room and read excerpts from the local phone book, shouting them as loudly as I could. My voice cracked. My throat hurt. I felt utterly ridiculous. Again, Brenda commanded. "Louder. From your diaphragm, not your throat." It was excruciating. But slowly, gradually, something started to shift. My voice, which usually resided somewhere around my ankles, started to gain a little bit of power. It was still soft, but it had more resonance. It had more presence. Next, she tackled my body language. "Stand tall, Lily. Shoulders back. Make eye contact. Imagine you're the queen of the garden, because you are." She made me practice smiling in the mirror, holding a confident pose, and answering rapid-fire questions about my favorite flowers. It felt like an actor rehearsing a difficult role, a role I never thought I'd be able to play. "The key, Lily," Brenda explained, "is to focus on your passion. When you talk about your flowers, you light up. You forget to be shy. We just need to find a way to tap into that light, even when the cameras are rolling." The weeks leading up to Los Angeles were a whirlwind of floral design, vocal exercises, and terrifying mirror practice. I still doubted myself constantly. The little voice in my head, the one that whispered "you're not good enough, you're going to fail," was louder than ever. But now there was another voice, a quieter one, that whispered "the farm depends on you." And that voice, fueled by love for my home and my family, was slowly, steadily getting stronger. The sunflowers were waiting. Arriving in Los Angeles was like stepping into a different dimension. The noise, the traffic, the sheer number of people, it was overwhelming. Our hotel was sleek and modern, a stark contrast to the rustic charm of our farm. The studio where the Golden Bloom Challenge was filmed was even more intimidating. Massive sound stages, blinding lights, a bustling crew, and other contestants, all looking impossibly glamorous and confident. I immediately wanted to bolt. My stomach was doing flips, and my palms were perpetually sweaty. Mama, who had insisted on coming with me for moral support, kept a reassuring hand on my arm. "Deep breaths, Lilybug. Remember your sunflowers. They face the sun, no matter how bright it gets." The other contestants were a lot. There was Sebastian, a flamboyant New York florist who talked about his vision for 20 minutes straight. There was Fiona, a stern woman from Seattle who specialized in minimalist, architectural arrangements and looked like she judged every speck of dust. And then there was me, the quiet girl from Tennessee, feeling like a misplaced wildflower in a formal rose garden. The first challenge was announced: create an arrangement that represents your hometown. My heart sank. How do you represent sunflower serenity without just putting a big sunflower in the middle? That felt too obvious, too simple. As the cameras rolled and the clock started ticking, the pressure was immense. I watched Sebastian deftly weave exotic orchids into a skyscraper-like structure. Fiona meticulously placed tiny succulents into a geometric pattern. I stood there, paralyzed, a bucket of fresh-cut flowers in front of me, my mind utterly blank. My shyness had morphed into a creative block. 15 minutes left. Designers, the host, a perky woman named Brenda, not my Brenda, chirped. Panic set in. I looked at Mama, who was watching from the sidelines, her face etched with worry. I saw the fear in her eyes, the same fear she had for the farm. And then I closed my eyes. I didn't see the studio lights or the cameras. I saw our farm. I saw the endless rows of sunflowers, their faces turned towards the morning sun. I saw Mama and Grandpa working the soil. I smelled the rich earth after a rain. I heard the distant hum of the tractor. I remembered Grandpa's dream of the perfect blue sunflower, a dream of beauty that defied expectation. My eyes snapped open. I knew what to do. I didn't reach for the biggest, most vibrant flowers. Instead, I started with the unassuming ones, wild grasses from our fields, delicate Queen Anne's lace, and a few small, imperfect sunflowers that had grown a little crooked. I stripped away unnecessary leaves, letting the natural lines of the stem speak. I created a sweeping, asymmetric design that evoked the rolling hills of Tennessee, not the manicured perfection of a city garden. And then, for the focal point, I chose a single, pure white sunflower, a rare variety we cultivated, and gently dyed its tips with a soft, ethereal blue pigment, a tribute to Grandpa's impossible dream. It wasn't loud. It wasn't flashy. It was quiet. It was resilient. It was serenity. When the time ran out, the judges walked around, scrutinizing each arrangement. When they got to mine, I braced myself for criticism. "Well, this is unexpected," one judge, a famous Parisian florist, murmured. "It's so quiet," another added. "It's not loud like Sebastian's or bold like Fiona's," the head judge, a stern older woman, observed. "But there's an undeniable story here. It feels deeply personal. And that blue, that subtle, impossible blue. It's captivating." I held my breath. "Lily," the head judge said, turning to me, "what is the story behind this arrangement? What does it say about your hometown?" My heart started to pound. This was it. The moment I had dreaded. I had to speak. I looked at the arrangement, then at Mama. I remembered Brenda's advice, focus on your passion. My hometown, I began, my voice still soft, but clear, is a place of quiet strength. Like these wildflowers, it might not shout, but it endures. And the blue sunflower. I paused, my voice gaining a little more confidence as I spoke about my family. That represents a dream. A dream of beauty that, with enough patience and love, can become real, even if it seems impossible. It's the dream of my grandpa, and it's the dream of our farm, Sunflower Serenity. A beat of silence. Then, the head judge smiled. "Remarkable, Lily. Truly remarkable." I didn't win the first round. Sebastian did with his skyscraper of orchids. But I wasn't in last place either. I was in the middle. And more importantly, I had spoken. I had shared my story, not just through my flowers, but with my own voice. It was a tiny victory, but for the quiet girl from the sunflower farm, it felt like growing an entire new field of possibilities. The show's producers, bless their dramatic hearts, immediately seized on my quiet underdog persona. They loved the contrast between my soft-spoken nature and the powerful emotion in my arrangements. Suddenly, the cameras weren't just observing me, they were actively trying to get me to talk. Interviewers would corner me, asking about my feelings, my anxieties, my hopes for the farm. Each time, I'd clam up, mumble a few words, and blush furiously. It was exhausting. Brenda, my confidence coach, called me every night. "Lily, honey, you gotta give them something. You're the hero they didn't know they needed. Tell your story. But keep it simple, authentic. And project." Her advice was invaluable, but the pressure was immense. The next challenge was celebration of color. We had to create an arrangement using only primary colors, but with a complex design. Sebastian, of course, went for a kaleidoscope of bright, clashing tones. Fiona created a severe, minimalist piece that looked like a Mondrian painting. I, once again, felt lost. The cameras hovered over me. "How are you feeling, Lily?" Feeling the pressure to be bolder, the interviewer prodded. My mind went blank. I could feel my voice receding like a tiny boat pulling away from shore. I picked up a vibrant red poppy, its petals almost translucent. I thought about the sunset over our fields, the way the colors bled into each other, soft yet intense. I realized that bold didn't have to mean loud. It could mean deep, rich, and honest. I started to work, slowly at first, then with a growing confidence. I didn't try to make a loud arrangement. Instead, I focused on creating depth, using different shades of red, yellow, and blue, layering them, letting them emerge and recede like the landscape of Tennessee. I used the natural bend of the stems to create movement, a gentle flow. My final piece was a fiery sunset, intense but harmonious, not shouting but singing a quiet, powerful song of color. The judges were, once again, surprised. "It's so understated, yet so vibrant," the Parisian florist commented. "It tells a story without screaming." This time, the head judge looked directly at me. "Lily, you continue to defy expectations. Your arrangements are a quiet revolution. But we need to hear more from you. You have a perspective that is truly unique. Tell us, what does celebration of color mean to you?" My heart pounded, but I felt a familiar shift. This wasn't about performing, it was about sharing. Color, I said, my voice stronger than before, isn't just about making noise. It's about feeling. It's about the quiet joy of a sunrise or the deep peace of a blue sky. It's about finding the beauty in what might seem simple and letting that beauty speak for itself honestly. Like a sunflower, it always turns towards the light, even if it's just a whisper. I didn't win that round either. Fiona's architectural piece took first place. But I received a standing ovation from the studio audience. A standing ovation. For Quiet Lily from the Sunflower Farm. It felt unreal. Backstage, the show's executive producer, a formidable woman named Clara, pulled me aside. "Lily," she said, her expression serious. "We love you. The audience loves you. Your vulnerability, your honesty, it's gold. But we need more. We need you to connect more directly. You're holding back a part of yourself. This isn't just a flower competition anymore. It's a story. Your story. And it needs to be told." Her words hit home. It wasn't just about winning the money anymore. It was about owning my narrative. It was about showing the world that quiet strength was just as valid, just as powerful as any loud display. It was about being truly seen, not just through my flowers, but as myself. That night, I called Mama, my voice thick with emotion. "They want me to open up more, Mama. They want me to talk about everything. About the farm, about how scared I am, about why I'm here." Mama's voice was warm. "Lily, honey, if there's one thing a sunflower knows, it's that you have to show your face to the sun to grow. Tell your story. Tell it with all your heart. We're all listening, out here on the farm. And we're so proud of you." Her words gave me courage. I knew what I had to do. The next round was a personal narrative challenge. I wasn't just going to arrange flowers, I was going to tell the story of sunflower serenity, with every petal, every leaf, and every word I could muster. The personal narrative challenge was the most terrifying one yet. We were given free rein to create any floral design, but we had to present it, explaining its personal significance, live on national television. Sebastian was going to create an arrangement representing his journey from a struggling artist to a New York icon. Fiona was designing a piece inspired by her family's architectural lineage. And me? I was going to tell the story of sunflower serenity. I spent hours choosing the perfect flowers. I gathered sunflowers in every stage of their life cycle, tiny buds, vibrant full blooms, and even a few dried heads, their seeds ready for a new season. I incorporated elements from our farm, pieces of weathered wood from an old fence post, smooth river stones from the creek, and even a small, tarnished silver locket that had belonged to my great-grandmother, the founder of the farm. My arrangement was a sprawling, organic landscape. It wasn't symmetrical or polished. It was raw, real, and deeply meaningful. It started with the gnarled wood, representing the roots and challenges of our past, then flowed into the resilient young buds, moving towards the vibrant, full sunflowers reaching for the sun, symbolizing hope and growth. The dried heads represented cycles, the wisdom of ancestors, and the promise of future generations. The locket was nestled among the blooms, a tiny, precious heart beating at the center of it all. It was my life, in flowers. When it was my turn to present, my legs felt like jelly as I walked to the podium. The lights were brighter than ever. The audience felt like a single, massive eye staring at me. The little voice in my head was screaming, "Run. Hide. You can't do this." But I looked at my arrangement. I touched the weathered wood, then the locket. I thought of Mama's worried eyes, of Grandpa's impossible dream, of the quiet strength of our sunflowers. And I remembered Clara's words, "Tell your story, Lily. Your story needs to be told." My name is Lily, and I'm from Sunflower Serenity, a small family farm in Tennessee. I began, my voice trembling but holding. This arrangement is my story. It's the story of my family. It starts with humble roots. I gestured to the wood, the strength of those who came before us, who poured their lives into this land. As I spoke, something incredible happened. The fear didn't vanish, but it transformed. It became fuel. Each word I uttered, each detail I shared about the farm, about the struggle, about the love for the flowers, made my voice stronger. I talked about the droughts, the financial struggles, the moments of despair. I talked about how my shyness had kept me from sharing my art, from saving our home. I've always been quiet, I confessed, looking directly into the main camera. My voice was no longer a whisper. It was clear, resonant, raw with emotion. I let my fear of judgment, my fear of speaking, hold me back. But these flowers, this farm, they taught me that even the smallest seed has a mighty voice. And sometimes you have to let your art and your heart speak for itself, no matter how scary it is. I pointed to the vibrant sunflowers in the middle of the arrangement. These represent hope. They represent resilience. They represent the dream that, even in the toughest times, you can always turn your face to the sun. And this locket, I gently touched the silver. This is my great-grandmother's. A reminder that our stories, our legacies, are built not just on grand gestures, but on quiet strength, on perseverance, and on never giving up on what you love. When I finished, there was a profound silence. Not the uncomfortable silence of awkwardness, but a silence heavy with emotion. And then the studio audience rose to its feet, a thunderous wave of applause. I looked at the judges. The Parisian florist was wiping a tear from her eye. The head judge, usually so stern, had a soft, compassionate look on her face. "Lily," the head judge said, her voice filled with warmth. "That was truly remarkable. You didn't just arrange flowers, you bared your soul. You reminded us all that art is about connection, and that authenticity is the most powerful design of all." I had never felt so exposed, yet so incredibly free. I wasn't hiding anymore. I had put my whole heart, my whole history, and my biggest fear on display, and the world had responded with warmth and understanding. It was an overwhelming, exhilarating feeling. I didn't win the round. Fiona's intricate architectural piece, while less emotional, was technically perfect. But for the first time, winning didn't feel like the most important thing. I had found my voice. I had told my story. And I had done it not just for the farm, but for myself. The quiet girl from Sunflower Serenity was finally seen and heard. The show's finale was a blur of lights, cameras, and a whirlwind of emotions. Sebastian's arrangements were, as always, spectacularly dramatic. Fiona's were masterpieces of precision and elegance. And mine? Mine were the flowers that told a story, infused with the quiet strength of Sunflower Serenity. The grand finale challenge was a vision for the future. We had to create an arrangement that represented our dreams, our hopes for what's next. I didn't try to outglam Sebastian or out-architect Fiona. I created an arrangement that was both delicate and strong, a breathtaking fusion of traditional Tennessee wildflowers and exotic, brightly colored hybrid sunflowers, Grandpa's impossible blue prominent among them. It was a vision of growth, harmony, and resilience. It was the future of sunflower serenity. When it came time for my final presentation, I walked to the podium not with fear, but with a quiet confidence. My voice was steady, my eyes met the camera directly, and I spoke from the heart about my dreams for the farm, for my family, and for the power of quiet voices to make a difference. I even managed to crack a small, genuine joke that made the judges laugh. When the votes were tallied and the host announced the winner, my heart was pounding, but I felt a sense of calm acceptance. Whatever the outcome, I had already won something far more valuable than $50,000. The winner of the Golden Bloom Challenge is... The host paused for dramatic effect. Fiona Sterling. A wave of applause. Fiona accepted her trophy with a dignified nod. I felt a pang of disappointment, but it was quickly replaced by a sense of pride. I had made it to the finale. I had stood on that stage. I had spoken my truth. And that, for Lily from Sunflower Serenity, was victory enough. But then, the host continued. And we have a special announcement. Due to overwhelming audience response and the undeniable emotional impact of her work, the Golden Bloom Challenge and its sponsors are proud to present Lily Miller with a special Spirit of the Bloom Award and a grant of $25,000 to support Sunflower Serenity. My jaw dropped. $25,000. That was enough to save the farm, to fix the tractor, to keep the sunflowers blooming for years to come. I walked to the stage, accepted the award, and for the first time, spoke not from a script, but from pure, unadulterated joy. Thank you, I said, my voice clear and strong, tears welling in my eyes. Thank you for seeing my flowers. And thank you for hearing my story. This isn't just for me. This is for every quiet dream, every silent hope. May they all find their sunshine. When I returned to Tennessee, it was to a hero's welcome. The entire town was at the airport, holding signs and cheering. Mama and Grandpa rushed to hug me, their faces beaming with pride. The farm was safe. Life at Sunflower Serenity was still quiet, but it was no longer unseen. The publicity from the show brought in more orders than we'd ever imagined. People wanted Lily's arrangements, the ones that tell a story. My once empty workshop was now bustling. I hired local artists to help, giving them a chance to share their own quiet talents. I still got nervous talking to customers, but now I had tools. I had a framework. And most importantly, I had a purpose that was bigger than my fear. I learned to lean into the silence, to let my flowers speak first, and then to add my own voice, clear and strong when it truly mattered. I even started a small community program for kids, teaching them how to grow flowers and express themselves through art. Many of the kids were quiet, just like I used to be. I'd tell them my story, about the shy girl who found her voice among the sunflowers. One afternoon, a little girl with big, solemn eyes looked up at me. "But what if my voice still shakes?" she whispered. "That's okay," I told her, my own voice soft but sure. "It just means what you're saying is important. The world needs to hear your shaking voice, your quiet strength. Just like the sunflowers, always turn your face to the sun. And trust that your beauty, your truth, will eventually be seen." I looked out at our fields, at the thousands of sunflowers, their faces a golden testament to resilience and hope. My name is Lily, and I am no longer just the quiet girl from the sunflower farm. I am the voice of its dreams, its struggles, and its endless pursuit of sunshine.